making sense of your world.
Talk radio is where I get all of my information.
News
Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06 now. Thanks for tuning in here to O'Connor and Company. Get to have a chance to get you started on your day, and we cherish that opportunity every single morning. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of it. It's 7:35, Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. At 8:05, we'll check in with Byron York, Washington Examiner. We're now starting to see some polling post-debate, and no bueno for El Presidente. Si se puede. 8:35, Kayla Owen, Friends of VMSDEP, VIMSDEP. This is the scholarship program and tuition program for children of fallen heroes from the military, law enforcement, et cetera, et cetera. And, of course, Democrats want to do away with it. The fight goes on in Richmond. We'll give you an update on that. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Julie. And Derrick Anderson is now with us. He's a Republican nominee for District 7 in Virginia. This, along with District 10 in Virginia and the 6th District in Maryland. These are 3 open seats right in the perimeter of Washington, D.C., in our area, and they will no doubt be highly contested and high-focus, high-profile races. Derrick Anderson, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Larry and Julie. Always appreciate y'all having me.
I want to get into the race first and the politics of it, because you're facing off against this Eugene Vindman guy. And he and his infamous brother, they're going after you big time right now, Alexander Vindman. They are attacking you and questioning I think they're questioning your patriotism, because they think that you're, an insurrectionist, against rights for individuals. They want to do away with elections. How did you become such a totalitarian, Derrick?
Well, Larry, I can tell you that who I am is I'm a guy from Spotsylvania County who grew up working in my mom's restaurants. I served in the Army, did 6 deployments overseas. I was a Green Beret. I did deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. I got into this whole political arena because of President Biden's weak leadership. Look, I mean, we see one of the things that really hit hard to me, Larry, was during the debate the other day. President Biden, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of, he didn't have any troops die on his watch as president. Well, I take issue with that, because there was a withdrawal in Afghanistan that was on his hands that was absolutely disastrous, that led to the death of 13 U.S. service members. So that was a blatant lie, and that really hit hard to me. I got into this because I lost guys in Afghanistan, and when I saw President Biden during the dignified transfer remains back in 21, when those service members were killed, and you saw President Biden continuously looking down at his watch as if he had something better to do. That really hit hard. But to your point, Larry, Mr. Vindman and his brother, much like the rest of the Democrats, don't have anything to campaign on right now. I mean, what are they going to campaign on? The fact that the economy is absolutely horrible, and it costs the average Virginia family $1,100 more a month to live under Biden. The fact that we have a border that's completely open, where we have illegal immigrants trying to breach the front gate of Marine Corps Base Quantico. I mean, that's what they have to campaign on. So they're going to continue to attack me. But at the end of the day, I'm just a guy. I'm a normal guy from Spotsylvania County who grew up here and is trying to represent the district that raised him.
You mentioned what Biden said during that debate, that no troops have died on his watch. Absolutely despicable for him to say that. But, recruitment is a real problem in the military right now, and people worry about the morale of our troops. What does that say to people, considering, I have 3 young sons. One is very interested in entering the military. What does it say to people, considering that when our president doesn't even acknowledge what happened in Afghanistan, doesn't talk about it? Certainly no one was fired for what happened in Afghanistan. How do you talk to voters about that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things you have to look at is just President Biden's weak leadership as it pertains to our national security. Julie, you're exactly right. President Biden still will not acknowledge the withdrawal in Afghanistan. He doesn't acknowledge that, he's had weak foreign policy in general, whether it was his initial response to Hamas attacking Israel back on October 7th. Russia continues to be emboldened throughout the world. China in the South China Sea me personally, I can tell you, Julie, I have Green Berets that are still serving overseas right now, and they have been for the last few years. And I can tell you, when those Iranian-backed organizations throughout the Middle East were attacking our military installations over and over and over again, I have Green Beret friends that have TBI, that have Purple Hearts from those attacks, and the Biden administration sat on their hands. So, I mean, it's no surprise that when we look at our recruiting numbers and we look at why our younger generation isn't necessarily thrilled to go jump in the military right now when you have a commander-in-chief who's completely weak on the national stage. So, look, I want our younger generation to serve. It was the greatest honor of my life to be able to serve my country, but I can understand people's hesitation right now, and that the fact that we do have weak recruiting numbers emboldens our enemies even more.
That's right.
Now. So, it's truly unfortunate that that's where we stand on our national security stage right now.
We're speaking of Derrick Anderson. He's a Republican nominee for Congress in Virginia 7. And it's been remarkable to see your opponent, Eugene Vindman, sort of roll out his strategy. He's appeared on MSNBC a couple of times. And you can see from his social media platforms and what he puts out there, or what his staff puts out for him, that he's running based on Donald Trump, basically. You put me in the House of Representatives so I can stop Donald Trump. I don't see anything, and I mean literally anything from him about the concerns of the people living in Virginia, let alone the 7th District. And he went even so far to say any parent who has concerns about, gay pornography in the school systems, he called them extremists, Derrick.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with Mr. Vindman and his entire campaign is they don't really have a position or a stance on many of these policies, especially President Biden's weak policies, whether it be the border, whether it be the economy, whether it be, as we just discussed.
I guess you can forgive him for not wanting to defend Joe Biden's policies. I mean, he's changing the subject, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's his whole campaign, though, Larry, right? He's got a gripe with President Trump. His entire campaign appears to be a political revenge tour rather than serving the people here in the 7th Congressional District. And I think that's the biggest, differentiating quality from both of our campaigns. I'm from here. This is my home district. These are the people that raised me. I walk around the district every day, and I can't throw a rock without someone saying, "Hey, you're so-and-so's son, aren't you?" And I go, "Yep, that's me." So, I understand the issues that people are dealing with every day. My family and friends all the time are telling me, "Derrick, you need to get these gas prices and the cost at the grocery store back down." I'm like, well, we got to win an election in November, because if not, we're going to be stuck with the same policies that are leading to where we're at right now. So that's with Mr. Vindman's entire campaign. It's very self-serving. He has a gripe with President Trump, whereas me and my campaign are focused on the issues that are affecting the people here in the district every single day.
Well, he's also harnessing some powerhouse celebrities. He's got Luke Skywalker there, Mark Hamill, doing a Zoom chat with him and his brother. Again, it's all about Trump, but they're reaching out to Hollywood and California and outside the state to raise money. Derrick, do you think that's an indication also that this campaign of theirs is not really about the people of the district? This is not a grassroots effort in any way.
Yeah, maybe we'll hold the town hall meeting with my mom and my family members and my friends from middle school and high school and ask them how they're feeling about the policies of the Biden administration. I mean, this is what the focus needs to be. The people not only just in Central Virginia, but in the Commonwealth writ large, they just want to see us get back to common sense policies. People aren't asking for much. They're asking it to be more affordable to live. They're asking for their communities to be safe. They're asking to make sure their veterans are being taken care of. I mean, those are pretty easy asks, Larry. But it appears that, my opponent and his party are not focused on those things, and instead, as you mentioned, need to bring celebrities in to bolster their campaigns. Whereas, I can bring some folks from the district here that are more than willing to talk about the issues we're facing every single day.
Yeah, well, throw the website out there, Derrick Anderson, so people, because listen, it is, the big guns are coming out and big Hollywood dollars are flowing into District 7. It's going to cost quite a bit to be able to run against that machine that they're using to win a House seat for national purposes, not for the people of Virginia 7. So where can people go to help you out?
Yeah, folks can go to derrickanderson.com, check out our website, and if they feel so inclined to sign up, we're going to need all the help we can. But That's again DerrickAnderson.com.
Thanks, Derrick. Get out there, knock on doors, enjoy yourself.
Thanks, guys.
Later this morning on the Chris Plante Show, how do you solve a problem like Joe Biden? Should he stay or should he go now? 9 a.m. on WMAL.
It's above me now. It's above me now. There's a Waffle House next door. There's a Best Western next door as well.
I can't get enough of that. That's Joy Reid delivering words of wisdom to the lucky audience at MSNBC. So we're looking for indications of how the debate may have affected people's opinions for November. And you start looking at polls and whether there's any sort of movement anywhere, right? Because that's ultimately going to make the difference here. When the Democrats realize that Joe Biden is a road to nowhere with regard to defeating Donald Trump, they'll throw him under the bus in a second, because it's all about keeping power, right?
Of course.
They cannot let Donald Trump win. So here's an indication that the clock might be ticking for President Biden. National polls will say one thing. National polls move slower. And also, as our audience is incredibly smart, they realize that national polls literally mean nothing, because we don't elect presidents via national election. We do it state by state. So you start looking at the state. Now, recently, we've added Virginia and Minnesota to the toss-up states,
that's
right?
crazy,
So
yeah.
that's expanding the map, because those states where Biden had a big lead, Virginia, the last two polls, neck and neck tied. Minnesota, I think Biden's winning by 1 point in
That
the
is
last poll.
unbelievable.
So you start adding states, and pretty soon you're going to start removing some states. Like, Georgia and North Carolina are looking really solid for Trump now. Soon, those states won't even be talked about in toss-up, right? All right, so that's what's happening. Look at New Hampshire. New Hampshire has not gone for a Republican president in 24 years. That's George W. Bush the first time around. New Hampshire, as of now, Donald Trump, 44%. Joe Biden, 42%. Kennedy is at 4%. This is the St. Anselm College poll. That's the gold standard of polls in New Hampshire. They are panicking right now in the Biden
Kennedy really
headquarters.
needs to get some Secret Service protection.
Right?
Honest to God.
No.
I saw this poll, and I'm like, the Democrats would do anything for that 4%.
Right.
Seriously.
Literally anything.
And note that Biden will not allow Kennedy to have Secret Service protection, but that is frightening for him. But yes, this is incredible.
Trump currently holds a 4-point lead over Biden in Michigan, according to the Epic MRA poll. That's released Saturday, which I don't think actually will have the full impact of the debate in it. So the lead in Michigan might be even stronger. Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, is said to be whispered as a possible replacement if they do away with Biden. She's been, of course, everybody publicly is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe anyone's even considering removing Joe Biden. He's the greatest politician of our lifetimes.
Right.
Barack Obama was, Dan Quayle compared to these guys. No offense to Dan Quayle, love that guy. Gretchen Whitmer, privately, apparently, on a strategy phone call, said, as of now, you've lost Michigan. This is after throwing Israel under the bus, kowtowing to the pro-Hamas terrorists everywhere because it's all about Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer, privately to Democrats, it's been reported, I believe, by Politico, has said, I cannot win you Michigan. Now, I believe Gretchen Whitmer also said, now I have an idea how you could win Michigan, putting her on the ticket.
Right.
Do you like my Gretchen Whitmer voice, by the way?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. But it shows that you will never satisfy the extremists on the left. You will never.
Oh, by kowtowing to Hamas.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Rashida Tlaib vote will not win you Michigan.
Yeah, but the Rashida, you can't satisfy the Rashida Tlaib wing. Nothing you do is good enough to them. So all this fake support that they had, that Gretchen Whitmer has shown, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Also, let's go to the national model real fast because it's indicative, at least, of where things might be moving. And I know everybody's like, oh, Rush Limbaugh used to say you don't even look at the polls until the final weeks. You're right. But as far as Joe Biden is concerned, these are the final weeks. If things move south for Joe Biden, He's gone by the convention, and the convention is mid-August. So these are the final weeks for Joe Biden. According to Nate Silver's model, after the first debate, both trend lines for Trump and Biden went in opposite directions on the national win probability calculation that he puts together. As of now, Joe Biden's probability for winning is sitting at 27%.
Good God.
On debate day, it was at 34%. God. And that factors in not just the national polls, but also the key states involved as well. So he is in the win probability from Nate Silver, who knows his numbers. Joe Biden has dropped 7 points in the last 5 days.
The thing we're seeing, the doctors who've sort of weighed in on, they're not treating Biden, but they have sort of looked at his condition, have said that this condition accelerates.
Right.
It will only get worse. So it's just interesting to me that as those polls are failing him, he's not going to get better. No. It's not like he's going to bounce back.
All of this is going to get worse. That's why Joy Reid said, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter anymore. Let's stop talking about his mental capabilities. All we can talk about is
how to stop Trump.
And, well, that's all they've got.
They're running out of ideas.
Gretchen Whitmer has an idea.
Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's above me now. It's above me now. There's a Waffle House next door.
Joy Reid, voice of a generation there on MSNBC, very concerned over the Supreme Court's ruling yesterday on immunity for the executive branch. It's 7:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up at 8:05, Byron York, Washington Examiner, the SCOTUS ruling as well as the debate last week and how it's affecting the polls. 8:35, Kayla Owen from Friends of Vimsdep to discuss what happened in Richmond yesterday regarding the military tuition issue. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good morning, Julie.
I guess, theoretically, President Biden, acting within the scope of his official duties, could dispatch the military to take out the conservative justices on the court.
That's Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren yesterday, a member of the January 6th committee. Just hypothetically spitballing here. This at a time, by the way, where Justice Brett Kavanaugh actually faced an assassination attempt and where unhinged lunatics are outside these justices' homes on a regular basis.
Activists are attacking the justices' wives.
Clarence Thomas and Ginny Thomas, his lovely wife, have to have security at all times in their lives because of people like Zoe Lofgren. Joining us right now is Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. And, I mean, judge this Supreme Court ruling, Tom, based on the unhinged, over-the-top, maniacal reaction of the left. And you know exactly what's going on here, right?
Yeah, in this case, it's this strange inverse relationship. The more straightforward and common sense the approach, the more crazy the left gets. It's more about the court's the left than the court's decision, which is unsurprising to virtually anyone who's been following the court and understands the constitutional challenges the court dealt with here.
Yeah. Do you think that this is just because of Sonia Sotomayor's dissent, how over the top it was? It sounded like Joy Reid wrote it. And it is incredibly irresponsible because that's what people seem to be pivoting off of for their unhinged reaction.
She makes a few fair points that, deserve some attention, but it begins and ends with these attacks on Trump. Mm-hmm. And it shows you that this isn't about what the Supreme Court did. It's about the election. It's about President Trump. And they don't care about the Constitution here. But we've seen that time and time again. They want to blow up anything that gets in their way of their pursuit of power. Trump, the Constitution, and the Supreme Court. And to have them, hypothetically, theoretically, talk about Biden killing his enemies, murdering people, and Supreme Court justices, I can't think of anything comparable in the modern era to it. I just can't.
The hyperbole is really off the charts, Tom, but it's not just the presidential immunity case. We also had Fisher and Chevron. There's been similar hyperbole about all of these cases. I mean, I worry a little bit about the security of these SCOTUS justices, especially when Sotomayor is making these charges. Are you worried about their security? Do you think they have enough security?
No, I don't think they have enough security. Kavanaugh was nearly murdered, he and his family. So it's not like it's a theoretical or hypothetical issue. I'm sure the justices think they have more than enough security, and they're probably happy with the marshals. But this is Washington, and their government agencies just like anyone else, the Marshal Service or the Secret Service or agencies like that. And, it's the government. So you can be sure there's always more to be done.
Tom Fitton's our guest, president of Judicial Watch. I'd love to sort of zoom out a little bit on this decision because, Tom, one of the great things you do at Judicial Watch is hold our elected leaders accountable. Because of your great work through FOIA requests and other investigations and lawsuits, we've been able to learn a lot about what our elected officials do. Some of it, I believe, is criminal behavior. When Barack Obama authorized the investigation of his successor, gave a rubber stamp on James Comey and the FBI and the CIA to go ahead and secretly investigate Donald Trump days before he assumed the presidency, I would argue that that was a borderline treasonous act, if not an illegal act. This ruling, though, I guess gives him immunity from that official act. I mean, from your perspective, could this actually end up harming your work, your efforts in investigating what our presidents and our other elected officials do?
Well, we always understood it would be challenging under the law to challenge a president over his official acts. Certainly, the White House isn't subject to FOIA directly, for instance. Even when you're suing just a regular government official, for all these immunity claims in the civil context you have to overcome in order to hold the official personally accountable. Because the presumption is, or this analysis, is that the government is the one that's responsible, not the individual, when it comes to official activity. So a lot of it isn't surprising. So, the court's interpreting 250 years now of our nation's law, and in the case of the presidential immunity issues, these are decisions that go back to the Nixon era. I don't understand what people are upset. Well, I do understand what people are upset about, and this is why your listeners should go read the opinion. They'll see that it was relatively straightforward.
Yeah.
Chief Justice Roberts said the president is above the law. Obviously, for unofficial acts, he can be subject to prosecution, but for official acts, generally speaking, he's not. There may be circumstances where there's a question whether an act is official or unofficial, and that might be subject to some type of adjudication.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's controversial at all.
It isn't.
And indeed, Sotomayor kind of suggests that it isn't.
Yeah, it isn't. Tom, the reason they're upset is because this is one of their most powerful weapons for the election. This is about the election and only the election. And that's why they're upset, because now they're going to have to actually try to win votes based on policy, personality, and the character of their and mental capabilities of their candidate, rather than just sicking the criminal justice system on their political opponent as they have.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the debate had gone better if they'd be so crazy right now.
Yeah, right.
And I think that Biden wins a little bit here, as you were pointing out, that he can't be jailed for enabling the worst human trafficking operation in the history of mankind. But on the other hand, they thought, well, Biden's got these issues. We were relying in part on helping him through this jailing of Trump and prosecuting Trump through these various criminal cases. And now that's largely off the table. And so now they're even a bit more unhinged because the problem with Biden has become magnified in terms of his cognitive challenges.
Yeah, but the good news is that his family members can still be prosecuted for selling access to the office of the vice president and for the overall racketeering operation that they've been engaged in for the last decade.
Well, he can be too, and he certainly can also be prosecuted for stealing documents as senator.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Especially since we're told he's perfectly mentally capable and has a great memory and great. I mean, Robert Hur needs to sort of reverse that decision now. Thank you, Tom. Always good to talk to you. Always love your work at
welcome.
Judicial Watch. That would be Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch. Big fan of his. Are you?
Of course.
We like Tom.
Absolutely.
Good. I could arm wrestle him too, by the way. I don't know if you know that. We've done it before many times. We go to the bar.
Sure.
Arm wrestle. Why are you doubting that? 7:45 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the fives. He's got like the guns in Navajo there. His biceps are ridiculous. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Jamie Witten's in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Julie and I arm wrestle, but anyway, here we go.
Now that's pay-per-view material. The teachers union, of course, will be a major player in this election. Aren't they the single largest donor to the Democratic National Committee, or if I remember right, the largest percentage of delegates to the convention are members of the teachers union?
I believe so. I'm going to be real careful how I answer questions this morning, but I think so.
After the Leonard Leo situation.
I'm
no, that's fair.
embarrassed.
But I think it is. It may have changed now, but if my memory serves, these are the people, by the way, if we do have an open convention for the Democrats, it'll be the teachers union choosing.
Yes, exactly.
Basically, or huge numbers
powerful.
of them. So Randi Weingarten, she woke up yesterday morning and put out on the X social media platform a picture of her Biden-Harris yard sign. She took the picture in her front yard and then tweeted, "First act today, putting up the sign." Here's the weird thing. It's there in the yard, and it's surrounded by piles of dead leaves. like it's, late November kind of dead leaves. Now, so people were like, "Are you sure you took that picture today? Are you sure you didn't just find something from last election?"
There are leaves in the ground, or the leaves on the trees in the background.
I can see that, yeah, and there is green grass on the. So
I think
basically,
she just doesn't rake.
Exactly. Either it's an old picture, or she is negligent in her yard keeping duties.
Either way, not a very good look.
Yeah,
there, Randy.
don't let them choose.
Lazy, Randy. Get out there and rake your yard.
Come on, Randy.